Welcome back to the weekly Leap videos. I'm Renee Blasky of the Leap Network. Today I want to talk about networking if you're introversion. So I'm an introvert. And it doesn't mean I'm shy, although I used to be very shy. I'm not so shy anymore. I consider myself to be a reformed introvert in some ways. And I'll explain that. But I'm not shy and I don't hate people. I actually like people a lot. It just means, as the scientists have found out, that introverts tend to need more time alone because their nervous systems are a little bit more sensitive so that when they get a lot of stimulus, or when we get a lot of stimulus, it means we need time to rejuvenate and we need time away from more stimulus. So I love my alone time. As my friends will tell you, there are times when I just say, no, I'm not going to go out today because today's my day to be alone. And when I don't get a lot of alone time, I get grumpy. I get really bitchy, to be quite honest. And even my mom recognized this as I was growing up. If I was in a really bad mood and just bad-tempered, she would say, I think it's time you go in your room and just take some alone time and go read a book or go to sleep. So she recognized it, and I really am thankful for that because it has helped me. And the more I understand the issues behind introversion, the more I understand in how I can develop my business while still being an introvert and still going out and doing networking and making connections and doing what I need to do to help grow my business. Okay. I've spoken to a lot of introverts and they say they hate networking because of it. Introverts tend not to like small talk. We prefer to be in smaller groups because we don't like that small talk and we don't like all that extra stimulus. So it's hard for us to go into a huge room full of people, particularly if we don't know. Because when you first meet somebody, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Well, what do you do? And it's small talk, okay? And introverts, we kind of look at it as superficial. It's not necessarily superficial. I know a lot of extroverts I have a lot of friends who are extroverts. And when they ask me that question, I just kind of cringe. And so we've had this discussions. Anyway, when introverts go into big rooms, we tend to be the wallflowers. We tend to go into the side of the wall and only meet a couple of people. So Susan Cain did a video on introversion, and I found it so very fascinating, and it really struck home for me. And she was talking about different ways that you can do marketing if you're an introvert. So the tricks that I've learned from her and from others, because I've been following this for a while, but you need to accept networking invitations, because without networking, your business isn't going to grow. You need, particularly if you're in the service industry, and you either need to do them online if you're a digital nomad, or like myself, most of my business is done online, or if you are in a community, you need to reach out to your community. You need to reach out to those people that are your potential clients. So don't let introversion keep you from networking. But here are some tips. Accept the invitations. And then before you go on or go into that networking event, try to find out who else is invited to that event. And then reach out to them before you go to the event and say, hey, I see that you're on the guest list. Are you going to go? If you're going to go, perhaps we can go together, or I'll meet you there. Because when you have something to look forward to, two things happen. One, it will get you to go because that other person is expecting you to show up. I know as an introvert, I will accept invitations, and then if I'm feeling a really low energy day, I'll find some excuse not to go. And that does not help me build my business. So I have to force myself to get and go to that event. If I've already made a promise to be there to somebody, I will go. Okay, so that's very critical. So try to find someone that you can arrange to meet there or actually to go with, because it will help you get there. Once you're there, Look for people who are acting similarly to you. Maybe they're on the side of the wall. Go up and talk to them. And don't just go and say, "Hi, I'm so and so. How are you?" Or "What do you do?" There are some tricks too, and I'll give you that. Okay. But also, when you accept that invitation, create a goal for yourself. Create a goal, perhaps, that you'll meet 2 or 3 different people. That's all. Okay. So you don't have to go and comb the whole room. You need to make 2 or 3 really good connections. And then once you're done with that connection, make sure that you follow up with them. Okay? So it's very critical that you do that. The other thing is allow yourself to take breaks during that networking event, especially if it's a really large group, because you can just get overwhelmed if you're an introvert. So go into the room. Maybe you say to yourself, every 30 minutes, I'm going to take a break. So you allow yourself the option to take a break. After 30 minutes, you may not feel that you need to take a break. Maybe you're starting to have fun and you've met some kindred spirits that you really want to stay and talk to. That's cool. That's really cool. Okay. But if you haven't found that experience, go ahead and take that break. Go out for 5-10 minutes, be by yourself, re-energize, and then come back into that room and try to find someone that you can talk to. Okay, so make that connection in advance if you can, because it really does help you get into the swing of things when you go. So when you go to these networking events and you're introducing yourself to people that you've never met before, instead of getting trapped into that small talk, ask them, what brought you here today? What made you decide to accept this invitation today? What are you looking to gain from attending this experience or attending this event? You can get some really interesting answers, okay? And you've already removed the small talk. You're now getting into depth as to their motivation. And maybe they're in the same boat you are. They want to meet new people. They want to get some new ideas or something. The other suggestion is to offer them assistance. Is there anything that you need to know, or is there anybody that in my networking that perhaps I can introduce you to? And then you can ask the same in return. Do you happen to know anybody who is suffering from this, who has low self-esteem, who doesn't have enough income in their business? I mean, figure out what, and I've talked about this before, figure out what your pain points are that you help resolve for your client or your customer, okay? Then ask the person that you're meeting at this networking, do you know of anybody who is experiencing these issues? And do you know of anybody who would like to get these types of results? I have a free gift for them and I'd really like to send it to them. Would you mind sharing their contacts? Now, if they're like me, you're going to say, well, I'm not really in the habit of giving out people's names and contacts unless I've gotten their permission. But perhaps I can share. Can you send me an email that I can share to them, forward to them? And then I can copy you on the email? Because then all of a sudden now they're helping to market your company. And you can do the same for them. Quid pro quo. Don't just automatically take without giving that assistance back to them, because it needs to be a two-way street. Okay? But all of a sudden you've turned a networking event that you didn't want to go to into something that you've met 2-3 people that you've had this conversation with, and all of a sudden it becomes so much nicer, so much more pleasant. And you can go away from that meeting feeling invigorated with no guilt. Because you went, you met your goal of meeting 2 or 3 people, you helped somebody else also, and hopefully you're going to get help in return. So I hope this has helped you if you're an introvert. Now, if you're not an introvert, but you're an extrovert, look out for us. We need help. Okay? So if you're an extrovert, just know that we don't like to answer the questions, how are you? For the most part. Okay? Because we want to get to know you better. We want to get to know the real you. So ask questions. And if we start asking in-depth questions, don't take it personally. We just really do want to get to know you better, because that's the way we are. Okay, so keep that in mind if you're an extrovert, and if you happen to know friends are introverts or you have children who are introverts, just also know that we need alone time. Don't take offense by it. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with us and how we rejuvenate ourselves and how we get re-energized. So I hope this has actually helped you in knowing how to network better, and particularly if you're an introvert. And I hope that you don't take an excuse of being an introvert and not going out and networking, because you're not going to develop your business that way. So take the leap, no excuses. Leap into your brilliant business and leap into your brilliant life. Okay? Again, I hope this has helped you. Take care.